touring, and my first week we were there from, I don't need that stuff. 7:30 in the morning, and like we would get out at like 11:30 at night. Does anybody want to talk about these long hours? I think we were the only daytime soap operas that had those long hours.
And you weren't playing twins.
Marianne was talking about Pitt and wearing the same clothes. It reminded me of Mackenzie when you got thrown into the pit and you had to wear that same outfit. You want to speak on that?
I think that wardrobe could pretty much stand by the end of that shoot. It was about 6 months of being in a pit, and they never washed it. They couldn't wash it for continuity, I was told, and so it just kept getting Febreze. So to this day, I cannot stand the smell of Febreze. I get puke and run. I just remember, I mean, you were talking about, I don't know how you got fake rats, because I got all real rats crawling on me. I had a 4-pound African rat running all over my butt. I think I like rats. The roaches I wouldn't do. That was like, no, that was a deal breaker for me. But no, I had all real rats. I don't know how you got like this.
You had more close-ups than I did.
But going back to when you guys are talking about Josh, I have such a fond memory too, because when I was, another buried story, in the coffin. The coffin. In fact, actually, it was you. Do you remember they closed the coffin? And there was no like microphone or anything in there, and I started to have a panic attack, and I started pounding on it, and nobody could hear me. But finally, Rodney heard me. He said, I don't think she's doing okay in there. And they got me out. That was it. I was done with that scene. But when I was buried in the coffin and they had opened, I was actually Josh's first kiss. Yes. And that was such a touching moment for me to be his first kiss. And he was, so I remember that day he was so nervous and he was like almost shaking. And I was like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to kiss. It's going to be okay. And it was just such a special, warm moment that I will forever take with me. I loved him so dearly. So.
At that point, I actually remember Josh telling me, he said, or she said, I'm a better kisser than you are. Oh, Josh, take it easy, brother. I do want to share, Josh had this remarkable laugh that was so big and so magical, to your point. And James and Dalton, who's not here, who used to play Hank, he was my best friend. We used to hang out in our dressing room. We played this video game. God, we were freaking idiots. And we would get so ramped up about this game, we would smash the furniture. We would get, literally, they were like, had to bring it in because if you lost, we'd break the game or whatever. And so this one day, Dalton was getting his butt kicked, and he just looked around and he grabbed a tennis ball. We were on the second story in our dressing room, and he just threw it out the door, and like 2 seconds later, you just heard Josh laughing hysterically. And Dalton had thrown this ball like 50 yards, and it hit his mom right in the head. Right? Just lit her up, boom! And she was like down on the ground, and he was just standing over her, laughing hysterically. Because she was like a bit of a stage mom, and I think like she would like torture him a little bit, and so he loved that. So anyway, great laugh.
I just wanted to comment on how daring I thought the show was. We did musicals at times. Do you remember the Jailhouse? And Fido directed that. And I remember that because I thought, this is extraordinary. We're doing a daytime television show. We're now doing our rendition, the passion renditions of a Broadway show on this. And we were permitted to do it and have some crazy fun with it. Jim Riley, as you pointed out, he created such fun things for us to do. I remember one time, Dan saved me in a scene once because it was so crazy what I had to do. He was coming in the Wallace's home and he was going to question me on something, and I didn't want to be questioned. So what I did is I went over to where the lamp was standing, I took the lamp, put it aside, I took the shade off, and and put it on my head. So I now became the lampshade. So he goes in the scene, and he has to, and he sees it right away. And very quietly, he comes up and in absolute straight, no joke, no commentary, nothing, just said, "Mrs. Wallace, are you all right?" I could not continue the scene. I could not control myself. And why I'm pointing this out is that each of us here have had those kind of out of the ordinary things to play, which is Marianne pointed out, oh my God, the most fun role I have ever played with all the stuff that I've done. And that's what we were given. And Fido in that Jailhouse Rock, his direction in that was superb, just superb.